we're going to see in this matchup, Squid, is will a full team effort, which ARG usually gives, is that better than having two guys just completely dominate on the offensive end? Because that's what Flakes and Greasy have done. Magnus hasn't done a lot of scoring, but his impact on this team has certainly been felt.
I have to say, I'm kind of leaning on the side of, I think a full team effort can definitely bring you a lot more results in this kind of environment than just having one or two standout players. But at the same time, I feel like Complexity have an incredibly strong roster, and I feel like they're going to be able to eke this one out with just one or two of their players doing particularly well this season.
Yeah, what we've seen from ARG, of course, all three members of this team have contributed quite a bit on the offensive end outside of that first series. Again, nobody contributing on offense. They were shut out, which does not happen on the European side very often at all. I think it's the first time we've seen it in the European Rivals Series. We saw it last week in North America with RBG. No, not RBG. Somebody got shut out all three games last week. Plot twist against Birds of the Bees. That's who it was. We're underway here, though, in Europe. Final match of the day here on the main stream as GCR will play this, trying to keep the ball on the offensive end of the field. ClayX will have a shot, but it is just wide, and Flakes has a pretty easy clear. Magnus looking to set up Flakes. ARG's focus has to be on shutting down Flakes. Make somebody else beat them. The problem is, Greasy Meister very well could do it. Double commit there from ARG. And GCR throwing one downfield. Magnus first up for it. Beats Mark by 8 to that ball. Now Magnus and Flakes. Magnus takes the shot. Greasy with the follow, and he threads the needle. Complexity scores first.
I'm going to talk like a broken record tonight, but I mean, you got to think about this. An undefended backboard is one of your worst enemies, and accidentally getting that touch onto your own wall means you're down a defender, and Greasy Meister is bearing down on you with all of that world champion class skill.
Greasy Meister plays that kickoff through. Magnus to the corner. And now ClayX for GCR. Already performing infinitely better than he did the first time around in the rival series, and he owes it a lot to Mark by 8, who forces this ball through.
This was an excellent use of his flip. I have to give credit for ClayX for the pass, but look at how he used the side of his car to pop it just that little bit, and then got that extra touch with the front as well to nose it on through. Amazing play, I have to say.
Mark by 8, usually one of the setup men for ARG, averaging a full assist per game, but also leading the team in scoring. And it looks like we will have just a moment here to get everything set for the players, make sure that everybody's on the same page, everybody's on a level playing field. But so far, what we've seen is ARG, they're bringing the fight to Complexity here. They didn't back off, and they finally got on the scoreboard. Yeah,
that's one of the things that we noted that we'd like to see is ARG playing that team play and making sure that they can bring the heat to Complexity, as you mentioned. But Complexity, they've done their job as well. They got that first goal to open it up, but since then, it has been a little bit of ARG's game. They've seen more of the offense, which is always lovely, making the passing plays. Of course, their one goal is assisted, and that was ClayX passing over to Mark by 8 with a phenomenal play by himself. So lots of good stuff coming out of them.
Yeah, as we have a moment to get all the players back into the game. Looks like we had a player disconnect there. And as it looks like, as it stands right now, 1-1 in game number 1. Both teams have found plenty of chances. Both teams have scored on one of their opportunities. And now for ARG especially, getting that first one out of the way. Yes, it took 3 games and a minute and a half on top of that. But they have that out of the way. Now they can move on, try to take this series, try to upset Complexity as we are back underway at the 3:45 mark. Scoreline remains exactly as it was. No harm, no foul. And let's see what happens with the restart. Mark not able to find a teammate. Magnus just over ClayX, and he had Greasy Meister bearing down on him. Still able to clear this ball away.
Complexity coming right off of that restart. Getting early on the kickoff, want to get some offense started up, and I suppose they're trying to use that reset to their advantage.
Greasy Meister, his shot trying to create a rebound opportunity. Instead, it's GCR with a big clear downfield. This will hit the backboard. Flakes comes up empty. And could be trouble now for Complexity. GCR able to beat out Greasymeister. Mark waiting for a pass. The pass never comes. Instead, he'll circle around, play this out of the corner. Can he set up Clay? He can, but the shot's wide. Mark in reverse, trying to create any opportunity at all. And now Flakes with a brilliant touch, getting around the second to last defender, but the third man back for ARG stops Complexity from breaking this tie for now.
And one thing to note is ARG actually used a fake to try and make that last shot happen. Almost worked. Flex was a little bit off the mark and there were two defenders, but either way, you saw Mark by 8 going for a fake pass, almost worked out. And ARG, who've been so strong with their team plays, you know that's got to be a little bit confusing as a Complexity defender.
Magnus trying to play that ball himself. Met by GCR. Flakes looking for Magnus, found him. Pass goes all the way across and Greasy can't really follow the play. Here's Mark by 8, around Magnus, and ARG leads again.
Not 30 seconds ago, I said that ARG are strong with their passing plays, and well, there you go. Exhibit A, Clayx with a wonderful pass again to Mark by 8. The exact same combination that scored them their first, and now they have a second with 2:03.
ARG has had a lead plenty of times this season. As a result, 2-2. They haven't been able to hold all of those leads. GCR misses that ball entirely, but Mark by 8 is there in support. And now Mark very quickly downfield. Met by Magnus. That ball skips way back out to the center line. Ball has a mind of its own here in game 1. Double commit from ARG. They haven't been punished for it yet. Midfield boost is open and Mark will take it. And as a result, he'll have a shot here. Can follow this play himself. Instead, he'll leave it for GCR, and Flakes makes the save from above.
Great idea, not quitting on that one. Of course, you always have to be of that mentality of, okay, I made a mistake, but I can make reparations. It's not going to be that difficult. I mean, he made a great save on that ball, coming down like that in Complexity. We've seen life out of them in terms of trying to move on to the offense. ARG have been meeting it so far, but there's still 70 seconds left.
Clayx not able to control his car quite the way he would have liked on that wall. GCR with a big save on the effort from Magnus. Clayx for Mark. Clay coming around in front, looking for someone to demo, I think. Instead, he'll settle for some boost. Mark now off the corner, trying to run interference again on both Magnus and Flakes. I don't think he got either one of them.
And
40 seconds.
This boost control is making it so much harder for Complexity to try and push out. We noted that I believe it was GCR or Clayx going for a demo. Either way, well, someone's going to find one there. But they're going for these demos, they're going for these boost steals, and it's working perfectly. It's keeping Complexity boxed in their own end for the most part.
GCR to the corner, spoiling the efforts of Complexity. Not out of trouble just yet, though. GCR took his time clearing that ball away, and Mark has to just pop it down to the opposite corner. 8 seconds remain. ARG clinging on to dear life here. 4 seconds. Flakes can't get this ball downfield. Magnus can't get it downfield either. A rather pedestrian effort at the end of game 1 for Complexity, and ARG, after being shut out the entire series against Veloce, take game 1 against Complexity.
This is an interesting turn of events because ARG, we mentioned that they look strong, but you can never really tell when you get shut out every single game. But now against Complexity, they are bearing their fangs right about now. And their midfield presence is, for me, one of the most important parts of this gameplay so far. I already talked about the boost steal and the demos, which have both been a significant part, but making the passing plays as well. And you've got yourself a recipe for disaster versus any sort of defense.
And ARG, a team that we've seen against the middle of the pack, teams that they're not really contenders for that top 2 spot, let's be honest. This is their biggest test today, facing both Veloce and Complexity. Those are 2 teams that everybody thinks will be in that promotion tournament. But if this keeps up, if ARG can spring the upset, Squid, this brings Complexity down to everybody else's level. It creates another team at 2 losses, and now all these other teams that are sitting on just 1 win this season, they're going Yes, let's go, ARG. Viva España, let's go.
They got their flags out.
Absolutely.
I can just imagine them in the background. That would be a great story, and I mean, that's the most important part of this game. Is Complexity losing this would mean that suddenly there's an open spot there in the top 2, and someone's going to have to take it.
Want to plant the bug in your ears right now. Week 5, the final match on the schedule is the Vikings against Complexity. Just keep that in mind. Both teams only on the 1 loss. Greasymeister got the demo, ended up centering that ball for KlayX, and ARG get a gift in game 2.
What more can you say about that one? A great touch there from GCR, and Greasymeister wants revenge, but it accidentally centers in front of zone net. That one's got to hurt just a little bit for Complexity, because they know that they can win against ARG, but it's going to take a lot of focus, and well, that's not the way to do it.
That's one. If you're Clay, you're in comms, as Mark will put another one in. Right now, ARG are on fire. They've scored 2 goals in 11 seconds.
So quick off the faceoff from GCR, beating out Magnus on that ball, and suddenly Complexity are thinking to themselves, we were betting so much on that play going through, and we don't have a back man, and Mark Bahe is going to have an easy time putting that one in. So ARG with a 2-goal lead. This is what they won with last time.
To be a fly on the wall in their comms right now, they've got to be congratulating GCR. Hey, nice assist, GCR, nice assists. Was the first one set up off that demo by Greasymeister. He'll look for redemption, waiting for a pass from Magnus. Instead, just playing a ball that fortuitously dropped to him. And a flake shot's going to be high, sent away by GCR.
I feel like that was a big wasted opportunity there for Complexity Gaming. It felt like they had a lot of effort going into that play, and then suddenly they said, meh, and let it go. And now ARG's moving out on the other end. You gotta realize ARG's not gonna let you have this kind of space.
Magnus, quick transition attack, and all GCR could do was get a touch on that ball and hope he didn't score it. GCR meets Flakes in the corner. Good recovery from Flakes. Can Magnus get onto this ball? He can't. KlayX trying to get a touch or a piece of Greasy, got neither. GCR centering attempt goes right to Flakes. Here comes Complexity. Flakes up the ladder, met by KlayX, and now ARG again transitioning out quickly, trying to get another goal here in the first 90 seconds. Instead, it's a big-time bump on Magnus. That'll force him to the back, and Flakes will take his time getting around Mark.
And again, it's one thing to give your opponent space on the defensive half, but it's another to give them space on the offensive half, which is what ARG seem to be having a lot of right now. So for Complexity, I feel like it's more closing the gap than anything. The boost control and the demos have been a little bit more tame this time around, but I feel like they really got to start moving out, otherwise they're not going to have much success here.
Greasymeister throwing one off to the opposite corner, just trying to hit it where they ain't right now, and right now it seems ARG is everywhere. GCR, he'll follow this himself, and Flakes has to make sure of the clear. Magnus over Mark, but again, another ball boomed back to the orange half's back wall. KlayX skying one up for GCR, he thought about it. Now he'll go after this ball. That double commit should be costly, barred down, and it finally goes in. Greasy will get credit.
Panic from KlayX right here, and can you blame him for that one? A huge win on the double commit right there for Greasymeister. Crossbar down and not quite in, and KlayX knew he had to do something with that ball, so you can't really blame him for that one, as I mentioned. But it's 2-1 now, with 2 minutes and 37 seconds left. ARG been looking relatively strong so far in game 2. I'm not sure how I'm feeling if I'm Complexity.
Well, they got to be feeling a little bit better after that goal, but they almost gave up another one as Flakes let that ball go out of the corner. Magnus trying to center for Flakes. Looks like Complexity will have to retreat. Greasymeister, good challenge. Allows Flakes to stay up. Now Clay needs this ball, he doesn't have it. Now he'll center over Magnus. Greasymeister at the back to send that ball out of harm's way, but only barely. Now GCR trying to get around Greasy. He's shadowing him the whole way. And finally, Greasy gets that ball right by him. Actually, really just got GCR to go around the ball. Masterfully done by the World Championship veteran. Mark will give way to Clay. Interference from GCR. Magnus still makes the save. But ARG, they have played a physical style. They are not letting Complexity feel comfortable at all on the defensive end, and it's showing. Another opportunity that's going to be sent away by Greasy.
We've actually seen that tried twice now by Mark by 8. Going parallel to the goal line and trying to fool the defenders into not reading clicks. His shot didn't work so far, but it still gives him that opportunity on target.
One thing you said while we were watching that series between ARG and Veloce is you were critical of ARG not going for as many demos as they could have. Crazy shot saved by Mark. It seems like more and more now, especially GCR, on his way back, he's looking for those demos as part of his rotation, and it's working out. There's Flakes getting one on GCR. A little bit of karma, and Mark is taken out of the play as well.
Well, you were commenting on ARG starting with the demos, but I feel like the story's all about complexity now. What with those couple in the offensive half, and they're starting it up right here. Lots of the control game for ARG has involved demolition plays and boost control, and they've been trying to ramp it up a little bit, but that's not their focus. They want to catch their opponents off guard whenever they're going for demolitions. They don't want them to expect it.
30 seconds remain as ARG clings to yet another 2-1 lead. GCR over Flakes and saved by Magnus right at the goal line. Mark will turn on this ball with only 10 seconds left. Clay meets Greasymeister. GCR, uncontested shot. Flakes has to send this away. Magnus has to come up with a heroic assist. There's a great pass, and Clay has the clear. Greasy able to keep this ball alive and gets it downfield. Brilliantly done. Complexity are not out of it. Flakes, the rookie, denied by GCR again. Again, no time on the clock as Complexity needs to keep this ball in the air, and Mark will make sure they cannot. It's another 2-1 win for ARG. Much more spirited attack at the end for Complexity, but still not enough.
Yeah, and it begs the question, Complexity, if you can attack so well, then why didn't you during the remainder of the game? At 0 seconds, we saw something like what felt like 3 different opportunities for them to score. But during the duration of the rest of the match, that was not even close to the case. So where was all of that before now? Was that just like was this ARG leaving a little bit of space for them and just, you know, pulling back? Or was that Complexity just pushing forward and starting to really attack?
Well, what we did see was, again, a team go 11-3 in shots, but because the 3 wasn't the Baguette squad, they didn't win. And Complexity are left with only 3 shots. Yeah, for Complexity, it's amazing to think they only had 3 shots because it felt like they should have had a lot more. Felt like they had more scoring opportunities, especially in that final minute. But they've got to do that for the full 5 minutes. They can't take 3.5, 4 minutes to get the offense rolling. It needs to be a lot sooner, and they need to stop ARG in the early goings. Again, you take away the first 11 seconds, Complexity wins this game. Problem is, those 11 seconds count, Complexity loses.
And the 0 second would count as well, but they weren't able to put one on the board there either. So I must commend ARG for keeping the control at those 0 seconds and making sure that didn't go through, and control for basically the entirety of the game. Their boost starving and their demolition plays came in where they were absolutely needed, and Complexity got locked on their own half for much of that match.
Clay, big drive and another goal 5 seconds in. ARG could come up with a sweep of Complexity.
Well, if the 11 seconds didn't count at the beginning, then Complexity would be more than happy to take that ruling, but, you know, they do, and now they're down. Complexity's, their morale has to be completely in the ground right now. I can't imagine how bad that must feel.
I have this paper in front of me, Squid, that has goals, and it's just, how many do you see there for Flakes?
Well, I'm not the best at counting, but I think that's 0.
Yeah, that has been the focus for ARG. Make somebody other than Flakes beat them. So far, nobody has. Greasy's got a pair of goals, both set up by Magnus, and that is it in the series for Complexity. Here is Flakes trying to set up Greasymeister. His shot goes post and in. That's what Complexity needed.
Well, Flakes might not have a goal, but he sure has an assist, and a great one it was. Basically parallel to the goal line, and Greasymeister gonna place that one in one of 2 spots where the opponent couldn't get that one, and you never expect it to go behind you.
1-1. 31 seconds in. Again, that perfect placement from Greasy. That's the best shot they've had, I think, in this whole series.
Probably.
Magnus popping one towards the back line. And this will just get by Greasymeister. Flakes playing one in. Mark, the only one back for ARG. Got a demo from GCR, and he almost got a piece of Greasy as well. Flakes meets Mark, but that ball bouncing towards the goal, and Magnus had to clear that. That might have been on target coming off the challenge.
Tough stuff for Complexity right now in the defense. We saw that demo earlier, and the attempt on Greasymeister as well in the same play. Didn't work out, and Complexity are holding on strong, but you know, you don't want to see ARG get back into their rhythm if you're a Complexity fan, because that does not bode well for your team.
Play, making sure to get that full tank of boost before trying to clear this ball away. That little hesitation may have cost them, but Complexity can't capitalize. Now Clay just has to stall for time. He's stuck in a difficult spot, but GCR will take this ball. Greasymeister got stuck on the wall. Mark through the corner. Clay thought about charging in, takes his time, and as a result, he's able to force Flakes to go around him. 3 minutes remain in what is shockingly a must-win third game for Complexity Gaming. PlayX, not a good touch at all. Greasy, he could have a shot from this angle, but Mark is there well ahead of him. GCR needs a huge clear, can't find PlayX, but GCR able to take that midfield boost. Couldn't get a challenge on Flakes. Waiting to see who makes the critical mistake. In the midway stages of game 3. Mark in reverse. That is usually not a good plan. Magnus. I think that was supposed to be a shot, but it didn't really find the mark.
And this is difficult right now. You know, I'm gonna be the first to admit, I'm not really sure what Complexity are up to. It seems like half the time they're trying to play reactive to their opponents, and the other half they're trying to play fast on the offense. And honestly, that might work. It seems to be getting ARG a little bit scared, shaking in their boots on their own half of the ball, but so far, no dividends.
What's important for Complexity to remember is it's been all kickoff goals for ARG. They've scored 3 goals in the first 11 seconds of these past 2 games. And that has been the difference so far in the series. PlayX can't clear that ball away. Stuffed back into the zone by Flakes. Now Magnus, he'll have a look. PlayX, big clear, looking for GCR. Instead, GCR had to think about retreating. Now he finally will go across the field. Got a piece of Greasymeister at the midfield line. So Flakes has to make this save, and Greasy is now at the back.
And I'm not too happy about seeing 2 players backwards on that one. A lot of submissive play from Complexity against ARG right now. And again, that's not exactly their strong suit so far. ARG have been making very good use of their space on the offensive end. So I want to see a little bit more of Complexity trying to push out as they now approach the final minute of what could potentially be the entire series.
Mark by 8 has more shots than Complexity has right now. He has 5. This would be the 5th shot for Complexity if they're able to get one on target. They can't just yet. Greasy, that'll drop down. GCR had it red all the way. Flakes now with 43 to go. Can't control this ball, so it goes back the other way. PlayX will have this for Mark. Popped up. Clay to the backboard. GCR just waiting, and finally Flakes clears it away, and Greasymeister rotates in behind him.
And think about this, in the final 30 seconds now, for ARG, they're fighting for a win. Complexity are fighting for their lives, and when you consider that Complexity is probably the heavy-handed favorites in this match, it suddenly becomes exaggerated, compounded on top of the fact that ARG might win this one. So the morality's gonna be very, very different on these sides of the balls.
Flakes trying to play this himself. The rookie can't play hero this time. Now GCR just lets that ball go. We'll have overtime. The next goal could be the last of the day here in Europe as ARG tries to secure a sweep, and a kickoff is the last thing that Complexity wanted to see. They almost got beat again.
Well, think about it. Complexity managed to stave off the kickoff goal this time. Will they be able to take this game off of that, though?
Well, yeah, they have to, right? I mean,
it has to be.
Yeah, we've gone past the 20-second mark, so
ARG's offensive capability is basically reduced to nothing at this point.
Right. There's a massive debuff there. That's off the crossbar and sent away. Flakes could not drop the shot down. Magnus now, his second touch, gets around GCR. But really, all 3 members of ARG right there in the corner. That ball was never going to get by. Here's Flakes, though, and a little interference may have stuffed his shot.
A slow ball by Magnus. Not necessarily a bad idea, but too little power on that one. And I mean, all joking aside, ARG are an incredible powerhouse on offense when they can start the passing plays. So Complexity keeping the ball on the blue side of the half really has been an incredible feat so far.
GCR, big clear. That's exactly what ARG needed. They did not need that ball to find Magnus on the other side. Mark should have this, and he does. ARG, you gotta feel like they really got away with one with a little bit of passive play in the defensive zone. Magnus has that shot go well wide. GCR, I think Flake's got a piece of him. So it'll be Mark who has to send this downfield, and he almost played that himself.
Would have been an outstanding way to end the game, I must say.
Right. KlayX against Greasy Meister. That challenge won by Greasy, as it has been most of the day. Magnus, that'll drop down, and he could not get the last touch. Flakes couldn't score on the rebound. Here's Mark, the last guy that Complexity wants to see with the ball, and now he's as far away from the ball as it gets.
For Complexity right there, Magnus with a little bit of heartbreak not getting that double tap. Close calls on the goal line though for ARG. It seems that it gets closer and closer to inching across the goal line as time goes on.
Flakes with a good ball. If Magnus can get there, he does. Greasy waiting for that midfield boost. He's got it. And a chance to center for Flakes, who misses off the crossbar. Flakes again, his second opportunity. Sometimes you do get a do-over, and he converts.
Yeah, I think that Flake's number one hope was that 50-50 went back to him, and he was so glad for that second chance because you already talked about it. Flakes, this is his first goal of the series, and he's been a pretty powerful offensive asset for Complexity. I talked about before the match started that if you had one player doing well on the Complexity side, then they might be able to put up a fight, and that seemed to really be the case up until here where Flake started showing up with his goals.
Those 5 shots from Mark by 8, it became 6 as we got into overtime, but it was just not enough. Plenty of scoring opportunities on both ends of the field, but Complexity were able to silence Mark for a change, and that's huge as they try to bring this back and look for the reverse sweep. Yeah,
KlayX and Mark were doing a number on the Complexity defense multiple times throughout this series so far, so seeing that get shut down is definitely a nicety for Complexity Gaming. They have that one win. Maybe they can take that and move it forward and try and take this series potentially. You know, I'm not calling reverse sweep. I'm not going to be the boy who cried reverse sweep, okay?
Okay,
but
not yet.
I'm just saying they got a chance now.
Yeah, they do have a chance. They stay alive. This is going to be scary for Complexity with all the expectations that are on their shoulders, knowing that they could drop down to 2 losses. And then when you get to the point where you have 2 losses, you don't really control your own fate as it pertains to top 2. It was a clean cut last season. All 4 teams between North America and Europe went 6-1. You still got another team that's on 1 loss in the Vikings. So for Complexity, this is as close to do or die as it gets.
Oh boy. Well, when you phrase it like that, you know, things getting a lot more scary, and that has to really play into their mentality as well. How are Complexity Gaming feeling moving into this one? Of course, that overtime had to be stressful, but now the game's reset. Everything's good. You got 5 fresh minutes on the clock, and it doesn't look like ARG are going to score right off the face-off. So that's always good.
Finally, some kickoff defense on the part of Complexity. They get the ball going the right way for them. GCR trying to control this, trying to get through Flakes, and he does. KlayX gonna have that ball pop away from him. Mark looking for Magnus, looking for Flakes, getting neither. Can Clay find GCR? No, he finds Greasy Meister instead. Flakes taking his time. Mark not gonna give him any time, just barreling right into him. Now Magnus all the way downfield. That will buy his teammates time to get set up, but Complexity needs to get downfield. Start putting more pressure on ARG. Can't save it for the end. Coming up with late game heroics like they have so far in this series.
And that really brings up the question, are they going to be able to effectively move downfield, or is this going to turn into an attacking game for ARG once again? We know we can see a lot of Complexity. We saw their 0-second attempt was impressive to say the very least. Can they bring that kind of effort into the entire game? And if so, can ARG deal with it?
Race to the midfield boost, I believe it was won by GCR, but he's going to need all that boost to come back into the play. So here's Complexity. Flakes to the backboard, Mark by 8 there to meet him. And now Clay, let that ball get a little too far out in front of him. And Mark taking that boost right out from underneath GCR, who was respawning off the demo. Now Greasy Clay needs to clear this away. He does, but right at Flakes. Flakes with a really good read there. Magnus challenge, gonna be just over the bar and sent away by Mark.
And slowly, Complexity keep moving onto the offensive end, inching towards the goal line. Here's Greasy Meister for the shot, but it's off the crossbar. Flakes will follow it up, but it's just that little bit too slow.
Double commits coming out from ARG. This is worrying right now for the Spaniards. Really can't get out of each other's way on defense. Clay, that's gonna be right at Flakes. Who will go? It'll be Mark. GCR thought about it, but Mark called him off. And now GCR kind of stuck between midfield and defense. Doesn't know whether or not he can come up or if he should. Clay challenging that ball through Magnus. Loose ball in front off the challenge, and GCR keeps it out, at least for now. Mark needs a big clear. It's not great, it's at Greasy, and another drive saved by Clay.
Well, ARG are certainly paying their dues in terms of the defense, but for Complexity Gaming, my question remains, are they going to be able to start it up as we saw at that 0-second mark, or is it just going to be all ARG's game to play with? Flakes for the shot, redirects just wide, and unfortunately they won't score there, but they are having so much more offense than we saw before.
Yeah, the shot's really piling up, 4-1 in favor of, make it 5-1 in favor of Complexity, and they are not getting cheated on any of these. These are blasts right at the net. Looked like they would go right through the back of the goal if any of them connected, but it's the defense of ARG just hanging by a thread right now to a scoreless tie with a minute and a half remaining. Clay's shot, bar down and away. It's happening on both sides.
The woodwork so key in that play, saved them once, and actually the second time when it didn't hit the crossbar would have made it so much easier for the defender to make the play. Complexity gonna be thinking they're lucky stars for that one, and they might have a couple more up their sleeves the way this game is going, but ARG have been so solid on the defense too. This is really a toss-up of a game.
Greasy Meister looking for an indirect pass to Flakes. Instead, it'll be Magnus to the backboard. Mark, oh, it looked like he'd missed it. Flakes trying to drop it down, did not get the second touch. And now here comes ARG. They have a chance to get numbers the other way. Instead, it's slowed down just enough. GCR to play hero with 49 seconds.
What a beautiful shot and pass. Clayx going for the small infield play. Everyone on the Complexity side was expecting something out of that one, but not that, and GCR blasting it to the upper 90. I told you that this team is a powerhouse when they're making the passing plays, and that is Exhibit A.
But now off the kickoff, will it go the other way? Flakes will have a look at this, and GCR's there to meet him. 40 seconds away from a huge upset here in week 3. Chance in front for Mark. Blocked by Magnus. Everybody else from ARG retreats. They'll need to. Greasy Meister denied by Clayx. K Salvar. Now GCR play another one for Clay. At Flakes just throwing this towards the middle of the field, hoping a teammate was there. Greasy was, but he's beaten out by ARG this time. Ball thrown back into the blue zone with 7 seconds left. Complexity will only have one chance, and it won't matter. Mark by 8, hits the post, and it goes in. ARG are gonna pull it off.
Excellent stuff here from ARG all around. A great fake from GCR, making use of the panic that Complexity were feeling to get that one around Flakes, who was up in the air. He was trying to get that dunk at all costs without realizing that it wasn't gonna be a dunk play. GCR coming in clutch for his team with that assist to secure the win and the first goal to get the lead in the first place. Outstanding stuff from ARG. They played so well on offense, and they played so well on defense when they needed it. We saw a ton of diving saves this series. And in this match in particular, I have to commend them for that.